This is Joanna and welcome back to another video for the TheAlleyWayStamps, and I'm using All Wrapped Up and Rock Solid today. But I'm starting out with my die cutting and I'm using two dies. I have this die from My Favorite Things and this big hello is from Simon's Stamp. And I'm starting out with my die cutting because then I can use whatever that's left of my white cardstock to stamp my birds. Because I know I'm going to cut them out anyway, so it doesn't have to be a solid piece of paper that I'm stamping on. So here are the cute birds, and at this point I wasn't sure how many birds I needed, so I just stamped a bunch of them. And I'm using black Memento ink to do this because I'm going to do some copy coloring later on. And I think these birds are so cute, I just love them. And now it's time to color in the birds, and these are so small images, so it's really easy to color them in. And for the reds I'm only using two shades, so here I'm just shading them together. I'm going back and forth with the darkest and the lightest color. And I will only show you how I color one of the birds. I color all of them the exact same way. So you won't get bored watching me color a lot of birds. And here I'm just using my orange marker to color in the beak and the feet. And for the belly I wanted them to look like feathers, so I'm just coating with a light gray marker and then I just bouncing my marker on, and I'm not doing dots, I'm doing like ovals. And I want them to be darker at the top and lighter towards the legs or the feet. So to finish off I'm just using my colorless blender to remove some of the ink on the belly. And then it's time to cut them out, and I'm just using my scissors and I'm cutting right against the stamped border. And when I have cut them all out, I'm using a black tip marker. This is my Copic marker, my black Copic marker, just to paint the edges to finish the images off, because then it looks like I've cut them out perfectly, and trust me, I didn't, so this is one of my favorite tips. And now it's time to work on the sentiment. So I'm using pumice stone to ink up this hello. This goes really good together with the warm grays that is on the bird's belly, so that's why I went with this color. And here I'm just testing it out, and I think that the background is a little bit too plain, so I'm just using my acrylic block and some pumice stone, and this is just water in a mini mister, and I'm just picking some of this color up with a brush, and then I'm just flicking it onto my paper. And still it's a little bit too plain, so I'm using my black Sooth to have some darker spots also, to create some more interest. So I'm just flicking that on. And this looks much better. And then I just used my heat tool to speed up the drying process. And to adhere the die cut piece onto the piece that we just created, I am using my two-way Sig glue pen. And I'm just using my tweezers to hold that in place to find the perfect placement. And when it was time to adhere the birds, it didn't look good with the tails on top of the letters, because in real life the tails of the birds would be behind the letters. So to create a more realistic look, I just cut the tails off and I will adhere them on the side instead. I hope that makes sense. I will show you later what I mean. So here I'm just adhering the big birds, so they sit on top of the hello. And then I just use my Copic marker again to paint the edges, so nothing white shows through. And then I just use my tweezers and my two-way glue pen to glue everything in place. And then I just play with the birds, and so I figure out where I want them. And now all of the birds are in the correct place, so I'm just using some 3M foam tape to put behind the front panel to put on my card base. And the card base today is Nina Desert Storm, so I'm just putting that in place. And at this point I also realized that I forgot to put foam tape behind the birds, so I'm just using the same foam tape. I just cut it down to size and I just slide it under the birds so they will stay popped up as well, because I am going to send this through the mail, so I want the birds to be popped up when they arrive as well. And then I just use some Wink of Stella on the birds to create a subtle shimmer. And if you are interested in any of the supplies that I use, they are listed in my blog post, and you can find the link to the blog post in the YouTube description. And now I want to create a sentiment also on the inside, so I use this Happy Birthday from Rock Solid, and I just stamp it with some VersaFine on the inside. And then the card is done. So thank you guys so much for spending some time with me, and see you soon. Bye!